Once upon a time, Thera is an old wise farmer who was also a teacher of Rumi wisdom. Master and his disciple were living there. After some time, another disciple joined them. In a little time, he learned much more than the first disciple. The first disciple noticed and felt neglected by his master. One day when he went to his master and said, "Master, I've been studying with you since before the boy came, and you've taught him more than me. Why?" Master is silent for some time. And then he said, "Listen to the story first. I'm going to tell you why." The first disciple agreed with him. Master's been telling a story, and this is how it plays out. Once a traveler was going on his way. It was afternoon time, and the sun was shining with intensity. The traveler was anxious to quench his thirst. He'd had no water with him, so he began to look around. He discovered a well after he had walked for some time. He'd noticed that there wasn't a bucket or rope to get water out of the well. Without drinking water, he went on. Another traveler came through there after a while. He also had a very high thirst for water. He looked in the well, seeing no bucket or rope to bring water out. He'd started looking for something, and he came across a bucket. And then he started looking for the raw stuff. He couldn't find a rope, and finally found long grass growing nearby, and began to root it out to make rope. A long rope was ready in a short time. He pulled water out of the well with help from this rope, quenched the thirst, and walked away. And now, the master wants to tell me in your own words, who's the more thirsty disciple answered immediately. The second traveler was even thirstier. That was why he wanted to bring water out of that well, in order to quench his thirst. The master smiled and said, "You're right. The second traveler was more thirsty, because he had been working hard to get rid of his thirst. And your fellow boy's situation is similar. His thirst for knowledge is more than you, and that's why to fulfill it. He's doing his best, but you don't get an answer from him." And he started working hard from that day on. In our lives, you'll see it. We'll find that for all of us, it's very important to quench our thirst for learning. If you're going to achieve success in your life, then you'll have to quench your thirst for learning. One of the defining characteristics of all successful people is a constant thirst for knowledge. Successful people always tend to learn something new. Their innate desire for an endless supply of information makes them highly successful. Sometimes they think this is because they're experts on something, so they don't have to study anymore. We can always find something new they should realize, and if we're open to it, some of the most unlikely resources could be able to teach us something that no one has before. It's not just for them. That thirst for learning is important. Those who seek success, but also for those who have already succeeded in their lives, because learning something new is the reason. You'll never get bored in your life, and you'll always be refreshed. It's a lifelong process of learning. It's never supposed to end. You can obtain information from different sources. Egg-reading books on the internet, newspaper, textbooks and television reports, folk tales, etc. Thirst for knowledge is a strong desire to learn and understand things better. It keeps us curious and wanting to explore more. When we have this thirst, we never stop learning and trying to figure things out. It helps us grow and think smarter. Embracing this thirst makes us want to take on challenges and keep improving ourselves. It's like a never-ending journey of discovery that opens our minds to new ideas and ways of seeing the world. Learning improves your life quality, reduces stress, and boosts confidence in social interactions. The best part, once you learn something, it stays with you forever. So never let the thirst for learning fade, because as long as you keep learning, your life will continue on the right path. Stay curious and keep growing.